Welcome to your weekly Leadership Principle by Coach AJ and the mentor team at Martin County PAL. At Martin County PAL, our goal is not discipline, it is growth. We meet youth where they are and help them develop into healthy, productive leaders for the future. This week, we focused on teachability.
And let me tell you, walking into that session this week was different. The atmosphere was heavy.
So heavy.
Usually, there's that low hum of teenage energy. Kids are whispering, laughing.
Or just normal kid stuff.
But this week, it was silent. It didn't feel like a lesson. It felt more like a courtroom. And the defendant was our own ego.
I felt that too. We were sitting in on lesson 13 on teachability.
Huh.
And I'll be honest, I walked in with this really specific kind of arrogant idea of what it was going to be.
Okay.
I thought, great, we're going to teach kids to listen better. Sit down, shut up, do your homework. I was ready to take notes on how to fix my kids. I had my mental clipboard out.
Which is exactly the trap. That is the fundamental misunderstanding of what teachability actually is.
It is. I think maybe 10 minutes in, I stopped taking notes about my kids and started sweating a little bit myself. I realized, oh no, I'm the one being targeted here.
That's the mirror effect, and that's really the mission of this deep dive today. We've got a stack of notes here from the session, some psychology, a really powerful poem. But the goal, it isn't to give you tips on how to make your child more obedient.
No.
It's to hold up a mirror. Because teachability isn't just a school behavior, it's a survival skill. And frankly, the vibe in that room suggests that our teachability as parents is the ceiling for our children's growth.
So let's start where they started, the four corners exercise. Because I think this just perfectly shows the gap between who we think we are and who we really are.
Right. So for everyone listening, just imagine the room is split into four corners. Each corner is an answer, always, sometimes, I don't know, and not yet.
And you have to physically get up and walk to your corner.
Exactly. The mentors read a statement, and you have to go stand in your truth.
Public vulnerability. That is like a teenager's worst nightmare.
It's an adult's worst nightmare, too. And the statement that Coach AJ used was, I accept correction without getting upset.
Oof. Yeah. See, if you asked me that at a dinner party, I'd say, absolutely. I love feedback. I have a growth mindset. I'd sprint to the always corner.
We all would. It's the resume version of ourselves.
Okay.
But Coach AJ pointed out something right away. He looked at the room and basically said, if we're all being honest, almost nobody belongs in that always corner.
No.
We are firmly planted in sometimes. And the reason isn't because we're not smart enough to learn, it's that we're emotionally blocked. It's a defense mechanism.
You could hear it from the kids in the session.
Yeah.
They were saying things like, well, the teacher hates me, or the cop was in a bad mood.
My brother started it.
Exactly. And we think that's a kid thing, but we do it too. We just use bigger words.
Oh, absolutely. It's my boss is a micromanager, my spouse didn't communicate clearly, the economy is bad. We build this whole legal case for why the feedback is wrong before we even let it in. Coach AJ calls those excuses walls.
And the mortar holding those walls together is pride. But I want to push on that a little, because we tell our kids to have pride, right? Take pride in your work. So how do you separate the good pride from the toxic pride?
That is a crucial distinction. The pride that kills teachability. It's not self-esteem. It's being dug in. Think of trench warfare. Toxic pride is refusing to move your position because you've already decided you're right. It's the refusal to be embarrassed.
So it's the fear of looking stupid.
Precisely. And on the flip side, they defined humility not as thinking you're worthless, but as vulnerability. Humility is having the strength to look stupid while you learn something new.
That's a huge reframe, because no one wants to look stupid. Especially not a parent in front of their child. We feel like we have to be the all-knowing oracle.
And that's the parental challenge right there. So, for you listening right now, when was the last time you admitted you were wrong to your child?
And not the fake apology.
No, not the, I'm sorry I yelled, but you made me so mad. That's not an apology. That's just an accusation with a bow on it.
Right.
I mean, a full stop. And all the science, all the data suggests the exact opposite happens. If you never admit fault, you're not modeling perfection. You're modeling that dug-in pride.
Yeah.
You're teaching them that being an adult means never having to say you're sorry.
So when they get in trouble, they just mimic us. They dig in. They build their own wall.
100%. We're blocking their growth to protect our own ego. If you want them to be vulnerable enough to learn, you have to show them it's safe. You have to bleed first.
Okay, let's move to the mechanics of this, because the session pivoted to a really tactical communication problem. The difference between listening and hearing.
Yes.
I feel like this is one of those things we say all the time. You're not hearing me.
Yeah.
but we never really define what we mean.
And Coach AJ broke it down biologically, which I loved. Listening is acoustic, it's mechanical, sound waves hit your eardrum, it's just noise. You can listen to the fridge hum.
Guilty. I listen to podcasts while I'm scrolling Instagram. I'm listening, but I'm not.
Hearing, exactly. Hearing is cognitive. It requires processing. It means you're letting that data actually impact your brain. But the enemy of hearing isn't, deafness. It's a habit. The yeah, but.
The yeah, but.
Yeah.
I felt so called out when this came up. I do this in my own head all the time.
It is the universal sign that teachability has left the building. Coach AJ calls it reloading.
I love that image, but it's also terrifying. Reloading.
It's so accurate. Think about an argument with your teenager. They're talking, explaining their side, and you're silent. But are you hearing them? No. You're scanning their sentences for a weak point so you can insert your yeah, but. You're reloading your verbal weapon, just waiting for them to take a breath so you can fire.
So silence isn't listening. Silence is just loading the chamber.
Exactly. And the moment you start reloading, the whole point of the conversation shifts. You're not trying to find the truth anymore. You're just trying to win. And the rule from the session was when emotions are high, teachability is at 0.
Absolute 0.
Absolutely. Because when you're in that fight mode, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that learns and uses logic, it goes offline. You're just operating from your amygdala. You're just reacting. So if you're screaming, if you're yeah-butting, nobody is learning anything.
So the challenge for parents is to catch yourself in the act of reloading.
You have to interrupt your own pattern. Next time your kid is pushing back, just stop and ask yourself, am I listening to understand or am I waiting to speak?
And can we call our kids out on it? Because I can see my teenager doing this. I see the gears turning.
You can, but only if you've earned the right. If you see their eyes glaze over, you can pause and say, hey, are you reloading or are you hearing me? But, and this is the key, if you haven't modeled that yourself, it's just going to sound like another attack.
You have to be willing to let them ask you the same question.
That's right.
Okay, that brings us to, I think, the centerpiece of the whole session. They read a poem, Autobiography, in 5 chapters by Portia Nelson. It's a metaphor for breaking habits, but wow, it felt like a roadmap for addiction.
It's brilliant because it simplifies that really complex cycle of self-deception that we all get stuck in.
Let's walk through the chapters because the progression is so important.
It just happened. Total blindness to your own role.
Chapter 2, you walk down the same street, you pretend you don't see the hole, you fall in again. Can't believe it, but still, it isn't my fault.
That pretending not to see part is so dangerous. This is where we, as parents, ignore the smell of smoke on the clothes or the dropping grades.
And you say, it is my fault, and you get out immediately.
And that's the pivot, ownership. But notice, taking ownership didn't stop them from falling in, it just helped them get out faster. A lot of people get stuck here. They think admitting the problem is the solution.
But it's not.
It's just the beginning.
Which brings us to chapter 4. You walk down the same street, and you walk around the hole.
This is the white knuckle phase. You're using willpower to avoid it, but you're still in the danger zone. You're still hanging out with the same friends, but just saying no.
And finally, chapter 5.
You walk down a different street.
And that's the only real solution.
Yeah.
You have to change the environment. This is where the mentors got really specific about the challenges kids are facing. Vaping, nicotine, THC. So you can't go to the same bathroom where everyone vapes, hang with the same friends who get high, and just expect that armor to protect you.
It won't. The environment is undefeated. If you hang out in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. If you keep walking down the street with the hole, you will eventually fall in. It doesn't matter how good of a kid you are.
And he brought up the definition of insanity here.
Right.
That's the question.
Seriously, are you complaining about your health but still buying the same junk food? Complaining about stress but keeping the same toxic friends? We cannot ask our kids to walk down a different street if we're stubbornly marching down our own broken path.
It moves away from this idea that we're a finished product. You know, this is just how I am. No, you're a sculpture in progress.
Exactly. And in sculpting, you've got 2 main actions. You can chisel away or you can add clay.
And both can be good or bad, depending on who's doing it.
Right. A mentor, like Coach AJ, they use a chisel to chip away a bad attitude or a lazy habit. It's painful, but it reveals the masterpiece underneath.
But a toxic friend.
They chisel away your self-esteem. They chip away at your joy.
And adding clay.
Can be support, love, encouragement. That's good clay. But bad clay is that wet, heavy, toxic stuff. Guilt, shame, peer pressure. It just weighs the sculpture down until it collapses.
Coach AJ dropped a really hard rule here. He said, You don't owe a relationship to anyone who isn't positively contributing to your life.
It sounds harsh, doesn't it? We're taught to be loyal. But he's saying that loyalty to a toxic person is actually betrayal of yourself.
And the mentors brought up a legal reality here that I think parents need to hear. They talked about Judge Waters and guilt by association.
This is where the same street metaphor becomes legally binding. If your kid is in the bathroom where the vaping is happening, even if they're just washing their hands, they are in the hole.
Because if an administrator walks in,
Everyone goes down. You lose the driver's license, you get suspended. The law does not care about your intent, it cares about your location. You are on the wrong street.
a terrifying but necessary reality check. And that brings us to the homework. I appreciated that he didn't just leave this as a big idea. He gave a tangible assignment.
Yeah.
The 2 lists.
Yes, everyone listening should do this. I'm going to do it.
Me too. So list number 1 is people.
It's a simple audit. Write down the people you spend the most time with. Then ask, using the sculpture idea, are they adding good clay? Are they chiseling away the bad stuff? Or are they harmful?
And if they're harmful.
The instruction was explicit. Scratch them out.
That feels so drastic.
Growth is drastic. If you don't scratch them out, you are actively choosing to walk down a street with a hole in it. You're choosing to fall.
And list number 2 is habits. They focused on vaping and THC, but this could be anything. Scrolling your phone, drinking.
It's the way in, and it requires that real intellectual honesty we talked about. You have to write down the positives.
Wait, the positives of vaping, that sounds wrong.
Yes, because if there were no positives, no one would do it. You have to admit it. Maybe it gives a buzz. Maybe it helps you fit in. Write it down. Validate the feeling.
But then?
Then you write the negatives. Lung capacity, sports performance, the anxiety of hiding it, the legal risk, the money.
It's a cost-benefit analysis.
It's just logic. It takes the emotion out. If the negatives outweigh the positives, you're not quitting because mom and dad said so. You're quitting because it's a bad deal. The math doesn't work.
It reframes the decision from obedience to intelligence.
Bingo. Leaders make smart investments. Walking down the wrong street is a bad investment.
This was a heavy session. For me, the biggest takeaway is that teachability is a choice. It's not a personality trait. You choose it every time you bite your tongue instead of saying, yeah, but.
Every time you choose a different street, and every single time you look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm the one who needs to change. That's where leadership begins.
One final thought before we go. We talked a lot about getting off the wrong street. But that leaves a void, right?
It does. And that's what I want to leave everyone with. It's scary to walk down a street you've never been on, even if it has no holes. The known hell is sometimes better than the unknown heaven. So as a parent, your job isn't just to block off the bad street. You have to make the new street look inviting. How can you make the path of growth feel like an adventure and not just a sterile, boring set of rules? Because if the new street looks boring, they will eventually find their way back to the hole.
That is a great question to leave us with. Thank you for taking a few minutes to invest in your child's growth. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel, like or comment on this episode, and share it with other parents who care about raising strong, capable young leaders. If you would like to learn more about Martin County PAL or are interested in supporting or partnering with our program, please reach out. This work only happens because of people who believe in meeting youth where they are and helping them grow into who they can become. We appreciate you being part of that mission.